everyone, and welcome to today's special episode. We've got a big preview for this weekend's games. We start off at with the Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, where Everton face Liverpool. Uh, Chelsea host Southampton. Arsenal face a daunting trip to Manchester City. Manchester United also face a daunting trip to Newcastle. And then there are games between Sheffield United and Fulham, Crystal Palace and Brighton. There's a London derby between Tottenham and West Ham. Leicester face the slayers of the champions Aston Villa. West Brom face Burnley. And finally, Leeds United host Wolves at home. Let's start off with the big game for the weekend, Manchester City versus Arsenal. I have Karthik and Manan with me, a Spurs fan and a Chelsea fan, who both think Arsenal are going to win. Am I right, guys?
Nice try, but no.
Unfortunately, but yes.
That's interesting, Karthik. Why do you think so?
I don't know. I think with the news that De Bruyne is out for the game, City will probably feel they're missing out on a big player, and why
Hmm.
not? And with the whole, I'm sure the mood in the Arsenal dressing room must be really buoyant with the signing of Thomas Partey. So that might just give them an edge and sneak a win away.
Right, but Arsenal, have. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I know Arsenal have a really terrible record against, top teams away from home. At least, I think last win was at Etihad itself back in 2015 when we won 2-0. But since then, it's been pretty abysmal. We've gotten thrashed, by 4-5 goals at Anfield, and it's not been pretty. Um, how do you think Arsenal are going to line up?
I think Arsenal are going to set up in a familiar 3-4-3. That's what my guess would be. Arteta has found that stability in his shape, stability in his starting 11. So
Hmm.
I think they are going to stick to their guns. Why I think City will win is, well, it's down to just game of probability, I suppose. I'm sort of, I wouldn't call it superstitious, but I would say I'm sort of a probability freak. So because City haven't had a great start to the Premier League, I think they'll be just a little bit too much for Arsenal to handle. And yeah, I mean, while De Bruyne is obviously going to be a humongous void to fill, but they've got enough in the tank to see off Arsenal, in my view.
Yeah. So some interesting team news apart from obviously De Bruyne missing out is apparently Kieran Tierney, who had to quarantine for 2 weeks, is supposedly going to start. Is in fact up for selection for the match. And also Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who I think there were a few doubts on his fitness because of the injury picked up on international duty for Gabon. So I think that's going to be a last minute fitness test for Aubameyang. So some interesting team news there. I think that's if Arsenal start with Tierney and with Aubameyang, I think we have a strong chance of nicking 3 points. But honestly, I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going for a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw. But I'll say it's going to have a lot of goals. I'll probably I mean, it's not going to have a lot of goals because I think it's going to be a bit cagey. So I'm going to go with the 1-1 draw. What's your prediction, Karthik?
I'm actually going for a 2-1 win for Arsenal. I mean, and there's a logic towards this because just before the international break, Raheem Sterling pulled out of the England squad. So he's doubtful for the game, but if at all he doesn't, start or probably, uh, if he even starts on the bench, I think that will be a good vantage point for Arsenal because losing out on De Bruyne and Sterling is going to be
Yeah.
a big blow, and it's basically going to be unfamiliar territory for Pep and City. So I still feel having the results they've had over the last couple of weeks, Arsenal can just pull a surprise and bring all the 3 points home.
I think, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. That Arsenal, this is Arsenal's best chance, to be honest, to take the 3 points from City. There's never a better time to play it with so many people out. And I agree with you, Supreet, when you say that it's probably going to be a high-scoring fixture. I do believe City again, so they have all the firepower in the world to at least see off this game, in my view.
Okay.
I'm going for a 3-2 City win.
Okay. So there's one prediction for a City win, one prediction for a draw, and one prediction for an Arsenal win. That's awesome. So let's move on to the next match. Chelsea hosts Southampton at home. Let's start with you, Manan. How do you think Chelsea are going to shape up this match?
I think it's going to be a familiar 4-2-3-1. But Lampard has already confirmed that Edouard Mendy and Thiago Silva are out for the game. Predominantly because Mendy picked up an injury on international duty and Silva had a lot of miles to cover. So I think Christensen will probably slot in alongside Kurt Zuma and Kepa will replace Mendy.
Hmm.
Apart from that, I have a feeling it will be a similar lineup compared to Crystal Palace. Probably Hudson Odoi will sit this one out, and Christian Pulisic will start. So from a shape perspective, I do think that it's gonna be more or less the same strategy from Lampard as he played against Palace. But it'll be interesting because Southampton are a bit more adventurous side compared to Crystal Palace, so game will be much more open compared to what we saw last time around.
Right. So do you think Kepa's time at Chelsea is over?
I don't think so. The reason is, like I said in one of the episodes before, he's a very expensive signing to offload because there's no chance we are anywhere near, there's no chance we'll get anywhere near the amount of money we paid for him.
Yeah.
And the best option could be a loan, but then again, with the transfer window being shut, I don't see him getting loaned out unless things drastically change. So I think, and he looked fairly decent against Portugal
Hmm.
in Spain's game. So I think that will be a bit of a confidence boost for him. Kept a clean sheet against Ronaldo, not an easy feat. So yeah, I don't see him
Ronaldo tested
playing.
positive for COVID. Maybe that's why.
But he did play that game unless he carried COVID during the game. I'm not sure, but he was there. So yeah, I think he's not played his last game. It's only about making these valuable games count for him at this point in time.
Right. Karthik, what do you think? How this match is going to shape up?
I think Chelsea are expected to win this match. And you know what I'm really interested, although it hurts me, but what I'm really interested is the prospect of seeing Pulisic and Ziyech probably come on at some point. I'm not too sure if they're going to start given the whole injury thing before the season, but uh, that could be a driving force for Chelsea. But I guess even we understand Southampton have been in good form. They just lost 2 games out of the last 11. But probably Armstrong might sit out, but Nathan Redmond finally would be starting the game, and
Hmm.
uh, yeah, they might pose an occasional threat, might even snatch a goal or two. But I still believe that Chelsea, should see the game through, uh, especially given that it's at their home. So my prediction for this game would be 3-1 to Chelsea.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that Kepa, probably gives away another goal, and then uh, Southampton get into the game and probably at least bring away a point.
I myself have predicted a 2-0 win for Chelsea. Manan, what's your prediction?
I'm gonna go with Karthik here. Predominantly, the reason being Kepa being in goal. I don't think he'll be able to keep out either Danny Ings or Nathan Redmond. Just there's a lot of pace in that Southampton side, and especially if they bring on the likes of Musa Jinepo and Orchie Adams, it's going to be a tough task. But like you said, we've got enough firepower up front, especially with Ziyech coming back from injury. That's a big bonus for us. So I think it should be a fairly routine win, and hope for a routine win. But yeah, so I'm gonna go for a 3-1 as well.
All right. Moving on to the next match, an interesting tie between Newcastle and Manchester United. I say interesting because Manchester United obviously come at the back of a 6-1 humbling at the hands of Tottenham. Newcastle are at home, but I'm not sure how much home advantage uh, comes at these days. So it's going to be a very interesting clash. Karthik, how do you think this match is going to shape up?
Um, what I feel is Newcastle United have a very very strong chance to cause an upset here. Primarily because of what's been happening with the United's defense, and although they have a potent attacking threat, but I feel defensively they're fragile, and Newcastle can sort of pull away an upset. Joe Linton is really strong in air, and given his aerial threat, I really think he can sort of pose a threat to the United centre back pairing. And although Newcastle United are missing out on key players like Matty Longstaff and Matt Ritchie, I am really hoping for an upset. But
Hmm.
I think United, it'll depend. I think Cavani is probably out of the game. So is Anthony Martial. So also Harry Maguire is a doubt. So both of them have their fair share of key players missing out. But yeah, given the way things are on form, on the basis of form, I think Newcastle have a good chance to cause an upset. I don't know
Thanks,
if
Karthik.
we might no longer call this an upset. Newcastle might even be expected to win this game given the current state of things at United.
Right. And Manan, do you think Maguire is going to be rested for this match, or do you think he's going to start?
I think it's an interesting call for Solskjaer because it is very evident that Maguire needs a break. He's been through some quite a lot, in fact, not some, and his performances have been, well, awful, to put it lightly. So he needs a break. He needs a break from football a little. But the question is, do United have enough cover at the back? If Maguire, can they afford to rest Maguire? And in Ole's predicament, I don't think he'll do that. And I think I read a note earlier as well that Maguire is not looking to get a rest as well, so he's not asked for it. So I'm pretty sure I think we'll see Maguire starting again, and I think like Karthik said, is probably for Newcastle's point of view, it's there's not going to be a better time to play Manchester United. But again, so Newcastle are not exactly known for their attacking prowess. Maybe the biggest threat at this point is Alan Maxima. He can cause problems, but then it depends. If Van Bissaka has a good day, then I think he can keep him quiet. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Manchester United, and just about getting over the line. Not an emphatic win by any chance,
Hmm.
but just a confidence booster nonetheless.
And okay, so my prediction for this match is a 1-0 win, again a close win for Newcastle. Karthik, I think you're also predicting something on similar lines.
I'm going for a 2-1 win for Newcastle. I'm sure United will score, but yeah, a 2-1 win for Newcastle.
Awesome. That's interesting. Thanks, Karthik and Maran. Moving on to the next match, it's a big London derby between Tottenham and West Ham. Tottenham obviously coming off the back of a 6-1 win against Manchester United at Old Trafford. But let's not discount West Ham yet. They also have collected a 3-0 win against Leicester away from home and a 4-0 win against Wolves. So these are excellent results for both teams. So Karthik, how do you see Tottenham, shaping up against West Ham? Is Gareth Bale going to get his, second debut for Tottenham?
Yeah, I mean the lead up to this game is all about Gareth Bale, isn't it? He's ready. Jose Mourinho's comments about him training pretty well. It's just quite exciting times for the Tottenham fans. But I see, Tottenham shaping up in a familiar 4-3-3. Um, Although Giovanni Lo Celso is a doubt for the game, so there are chances that Musa Sissoko or Harry Winks, either of them, could come in to support Højbjerg, and we might actually see either Lamela or Dele Alli playing in that number 10 role with uh, Tanguy and Dembele, sort of falling back a little, maybe playing in a midfield three, or uh, Jose Mourinho can just maybe end up, playing Ndombele as a number 10. But having seen Mourinho in the press conferences, I really don't think he's going to start with Gareth Bale because you never know. You never know the kind of mind games he plays. But we do expect to see him at some point, because he sort of impressed uh, the coaching staff in the training, and has been really pushing for that starting spot. However, knowing Jose Mourinho, I believe he's going to start Lucas Moura on the right. uh, Probably sometime after the halftime, Gareth Bale could come in and make his second debut for Spurs.
Right. That's actually, I mean, the kind of names that you've just mentioned. It seems like Tottenham certainly have a wealth of options in midfield and up front, right? How optimistic are you overall for the season, given what happened at Manchester United, couple of weeks ago? That result, I mean, took everyone, by surprise.
Um, I am optimistic, but I'm not, getting ahead of the current situation. I think it's really important that Spurs take this game by game and trying to build on that momentum. But things definitely look good in terms of squad depth, in terms of the options that Mourinho will have at his disposal. Uh, However, coming to again, I mean, I think one of the signings of the season has to be Højbjerg, and tomorrow's game probably, is going to there's going to be a showdown of probably the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League. You could argue, but as per me, that is the case. I mean, Højbjerg against Declan Rice, it's going to be a very very interesting clash. But yeah, defensively we are still not there yet in terms of how the other top six clubs are. So optimistic, yes, but you never know. It's with Spurs. I mean, your optimism can just die overnight. So I'm not going to count my chickens, but yeah, let's see where we are by the end of December. Maybe I can probably throw in a prediction by the end of December.
Nice pun there with the chickens.
Yeah, thanks.
So right, Manan. So do you also predict a win for Tottenham?
Absolutely. Like Karthik put aptly, I think Spurs are very much flying high at this point. Obviously, that humiliation of Manchester United would be very much fresh in their minds. That would have given them a massive confidence boost. While obviously West Ham are in a good run of form, in fact a rich vein of form. You like you correctly mentioned when you started. I think Tottenham will prove in a different class compared to West Ham. Uh, they're playing at home. They've got the likes of Bale and Son, Kane, all of them world class players at their disposal. So I think Jose is building a top side, and if they have that defense in place, which I think they will, I'm predicting a very comfortable win for Tottenham tomorrow. I'm gonna go for a 3-0 win for Tottenham.
Okay, my prediction for the match is again a 3-0 win. Karthik, what's your prediction?
Yeah, almost same, but I'm going for a 3-1 win. I don't see a clean sheet for Tottenham anytime soon, man.
Okay.
As much as I love to see it, but it just might not happen yet.
So coming to the final game of the weekend, it's the big Merseyside clash between Everton and Liverpool. Um, about 2 to 3 months back, I don't think anyone would have expected Everton to be the team that would be leading the table in the Premier League, but they are. They've won all of their matches so far. Players like James Rodriguez, Ducore, Allen. All of them have actually had a massive impact so far on Everton's season, as well as Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who seems to be on fire at the moment. So let's start with Manan on this one. Manan, how do you think this match is going to go?
For starters, it's gonna be probably the best Merseyside derby of the decade, of the past 10 years, I should say. There's a real vibrancy in the Toffees group at this moment. Ancelotti is a proven winner. He's got the buzz going around the Merseyside, the blue half of the Merseyside. And James looks like a real coup, like real steel at this point in time. Probably one of the best transfers in this window. Whether he proves out to be the best of the window, we'll wait and see. But surely it looks like a very, very good buy. And they've also upgraded the midfield. Alan, I think, is a fantastic signing. He's gone under the radar, but his performances have been very encouraging. And Dukur has also quietly gone about his business. So there's a real spring in the step for the Toffees. And when you couple that with the absolute nightmare that Liverpool endured at Villa Park, I think it has all the ingredients to be a very intriguing contest. However, I think Liverpool should have enough in the tank, enough. They have enough quality in their ranks to see Everton through, even though they are in such a rich vein of form. So I'm gonna go for a not a big but a 2-1 win for the champions.
That's a very interesting, and in fact, that's a bold prediction according to me. Liverpool obviously getting smashed by Aston Villa the last time around, 7 goals to 2. Karthik, do you agree with Manan? Do you think Liverpool will be able to nick all 3 points at Goodison?
I don't think so. Supreet. The reason is probably, defensively they might be good, but they have a keeper who's error prone. I mean, we've seen it in the last game, and I'm sure that's going to spread across to players. So the defenders are not going to have the confidence in the keeper, number one, and the kind of form that Calvert Lewin is in, you just, I mean, you expect Everton players to take shots, hoping that it sort of goes in, considering the the mistakes that Adrian has made, and not just that, but I guess if you see the number of goals that Everton have scored, it's going to be a goal fest for sure. And but what is interesting is the kind of steel that Everton have in midfield. Maybe a couple of years back, if Liverpool have been thumped to a 7-2 defeat, you would expect them to come back with all guns blazing and probably thrash the next opponent. But that just might not be the case, and the sticky spell that Liverpool have had may just extend.
Right. So, what's your final prediction? Is it are you going for an Everton win, or are you going for a draw?
I'm going for a draw. I guess the spoils will be shared, and most likely a 2-2 draw.
What would you like to see though?
Oh, what I would like to see is another capitulation from Liverpool. I mean, why not? Because yeah, they've had their fair share of glory. I think it's time that there's a sort of a reality check. Highly unlikely, but yeah, I'm still hopeful for that.
Bold of you to say that they've had their fair share of glory.
Thanks.
Thanks, Karthik. I kind of have to agree with you. Even I'm going for a 2 to draw on this match. Even though I'd like to see Everton nick this one, it's actually going to be very interesting how this particular game is going to pan out. So thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Manan, for your previews and predictions for this particular weekend. Football returns after 2 long weeks. Obviously, the international break is an unnecessary distraction in the midst of this football calendar. It's going to be a cracking weekend. See you soon. Thank you so much.